It's all about to start, and it's all about this guy. What does he do next? And what is so amazing about this run is little moments that add up to championships. Can he do it? Can be a 3-time MVP? Can they get back? These two guys are going to help quite a bit as well. Welcome in, everybody. This is RGR Football. This is Dan Harms. I'm Ryan Tracy. Nice to see you. It's almost here. It's this close, and we're going to be at training camp. I'm more than a little excited because it's been a long off season, Dan. How are you feeling about the onset here?
I can't wait. And in large part because, no offense to everybody here, but trying to find stuff to talk about for Wednesday's film rooms is tough right now. It is so tough. Like, it's trying to figure out what we're going to be going through. We don't have anything new to put out there tape-wise. You guys have seen all of it. So it's been a slog. So we're going to take a break until preseason gets here when we got preseason tape. But we're still going to have new stuff coming on Wednesdays, but we're going to try a little bit different. So I'm excited because that means we're going to step closer to getting real film, at least something, just something.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you, and I'm excited to see what you're going to do in the meantime. Folks, remember, there's going to be a post-game stream every week once the season rolls around, and preseason games as well. You're going to have this Monday night Q&A just like always. We're always brought to you by whoever our recent friends are. We have some new sponsors coming this season, so bear with us as we get them up to speed. Tuesdays, you're going to have a piece from me. Point blank, I'm calling it the breakdown. I'm not going to get too frilly with it. We're gonna save the hardcore analysis for all the stats and stuff for Gary later in the week after the film review. But I'm just going to shoot it to you straight because I'm a little fed up with the BS nonsense that goes on in the football space. And I know that some of you have been dying for that. A shout out from my friends out in California. I was out there last week doing some family thing. Some new guys had some good comments that I'm taking away. Shout out to Sunnyvale Fire, Firehouse number 4. Nice to see you guys. Appreciate the time. And that just kind of reconfirmed for me that, you know what, let's just call it what it is every week. And that's what I'm going to do on Tuesdays this year. And then we'll give you the prep for the next week on Friday. So there's a lot to go into tonight just to explain to you what we're about to do. But what we're about to do is kick off camp tomorrow. And it comes down for me to this one thing. There can't be expectations enough for Patrick Mahomes. They've had a hell of an offseason. They've been running around. Travis and his brother were just playing golf, yesterday? I think they wrapped it up. Yeah. So, everything's compressed. But you get to cut out all the noise when you come to camp. You know, when you get to camp, everything settles down. And you really get to see the stars in all of their glory like we are going to do right now because she's really the star of it. Hi, Miss Avery. Oh. So if you guys don't see Avery every week, she's really why we're here. And, it's fun. Dan, what have you guys been doing, the two of you?
Oh, well, we've, this past weekend we went to the water park and she got to ride one of the water slides that she hasn't been able to before. So that was fun. And what else did we do, Avery? What else did we do? You don't know? You have no idea? You don't remember? They don't want to hear you talk. They don't want to hear me talk.
We just make faces at Ryan.
No. It's fine. No. What did you do yesterday? Did you play in the sprinkler yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah? Go ahead and tell them.
I laid in the sprinkler.
And who's your favorite football
player? Folks, if you've never seen Avery before, Monday nights are always football, but Avery will make an appearance. So we make sure to find out. Yes, exactly. You got it right. He's going to be the guy. She knows it. We know it. We all know it. If this is a perfect time to subscribe to the channel, if you just need a dose every now and then, you're going to get that, but you're going to get lots and lots of football the rest of the time. It is a family show. You probably won't see my kids because they're camera shy. Avery is definitely the star. Mine are not. That's okay. But we do this as analysts first, as fans second. If you don't know me, been in coaching and consulting for 20 plus years on the physiological side. Dan's a hardcore film analyst, now working for the Draft Network as well. You can find me on Locked On Chiefs, all these different things. And I know we're almost 5 minutes into it, and we haven't told you what the basis is, and that's because this is a Q&A show. It's all your questions. I know they're stacking up, and I'm just trying to give you guys some lead time so we can get deeper into the questions, because supporting Patrick is job number one, really like it is every year, but even more so this year with everything going on and this crazy summer and all this stuff. It comes back to get Patrick what he needs. And as I stepped away for a week and just kind of shut it down for a bit, it comes to me, it's more and more like we can't set expectations because we thought he was going to be, down and out last year. Still won the Super Bowl with whatever buckled together receiver crew there was. This is going to be a different year. There's going to be a lot of different things. So nothing is off the table ever for this team. Scott, thanks for your super chat, and we appreciate the support, folks. If you want on the channel tonight, every super chat gets an answer and gets on screen, so we're happy to do that. Avery is the star, and the button does work. Thank you. Brett Coleman put it on his podcast the other day the best way. Regular season just doesn't matter. As long as there's enough wins to get this team into the postseason, nothing else matters because Patrick Mahomes will take up the slack and do the rest. And I feel better about the supporting cast this year than I have in quite a long time. So in the end, it can only go up from here is the way that I feel. I don't think anything's been downgraded. We'll see about the suspension for Rashee Rice. I'm sure there's questions tonight. But we're going to get into it, and we're going to get started here with Caroline. And I think there's going to be some interesting content coming. We're going to have some help from some new folks that are going to make some different contributions than what we've had in the past. And you guys may see Caroline's name coming up a little bit, so keep an eye out. But she starts the question, and thank you. Appreciate you. Nice to see you. Might not be able to make the live, but do you see Irv Smith fitting into or how do you see Irv Smith fitting into this offense? 4 tight end sets? That would be quite equivocal, especially 2 of them are in the backfield. I'd love that. Will he battle with Wiley? And I'm assuming all 4 tight ends make the roster. Dan, you have been a proponent of 13 personnel for even longer than I have since the end of last season. Mm-hmm. Do you think 13 is a reality for the coaching staff? And what does that mean for 4 tight ends?
So absolutely. They're the best tight end, 13 personnel offense in the NFL. Like, they've used it the most. They almost exclusively throw out of it, which, isn't surprising, but they should run more out of it. Absolutely. And that does lean towards 4 tight ends making the roster, just so you're not having the same guys go out there the entire time. You can get a little bit different. Now, I don't think there's a ton of difference between what you're going to get from Irv Smith and rookie Jared Wiley, except for the field stretching aspect. I think he's clearly a much better athlete than Irv Smith was, but the experience factor for Irv gives you a lot of the same type of play. Noah Gray has done nothing but get better and better and better every single year in the NFL. I don't expect that to change. I think he's still going to be the tight end too, but hopefully being that 13 personnel offense will allow you to get Jared Wiley the ball a little bit more, use Noah Gray and Travis Kelce, even without Travis Kelce. If you want to give him some more rest like we've seen, you could still use 13 personnel with those big bodies and just whatever receiver you want to throw out there with them, go for it and just kind of see what you got. So I do think all 4 are going to make the roster, but Irv is tough. There has been a lot of hype for Irv over the past 5 years, however long he's been in the league, but he's never amounted to anything. And that's pretty much what I expect from him as well. I don't expect much from him. I kind of expect him to be the 4. So at worst, he's just going to be kind of there. You don't see him a ton. Maybe he's more H-back role. That might be better for him, getting some better matchups for him. But at the end of the day, I think you're going to see quite a bit of 13 personnel this season.
I agree with you. I personally feel he's got to make the roster. There's no way around it. Because if you're going to run 13, you got to have somebody that can come in if somebody pulls a hamstring, twists an ankle, whatever. If you're going to run 3, you got to have 4. That's just the way that it works. Otherwise, half your game plan goes out the window if one of those guys comes up with something on game day. So I agree with you. I think 13 is going to be in the plans, and I do think that he makes the roster. And I think that leaves them with an ability to go what I call pseudo-heavy. Pseudo-heavy is using bigger-bodied guys in roles that aren't necessarily as wide receivers and tight ends. So you can pull them into the backfield. As you said, you can put them into the H. I think Irv in the H. I think Carson Steele in the H. I think Noah in the H. You have all kinds of option routes in particular that you can run out of that. We know they like to throw out of it. But it gives you better angles as well. It just gives you another layer of intricacy that Andy Reid can play with. And so I think it's going to be critical. And I'm looking forward to a lot of the wrinkles, maybe not coming at the wide receiver position, coming from the tight ends. I could easily see that.
Yeah,
Caroline, we'll see if we're right. I don't know if it's going to be, but we're going to find out. Dan, if you feel like reading better tonight, you feel free. Because I started to say one wrong already, and that's just the way that it goes when we're live, folks. We do this every Monday night, and we're going to do it every game night, post game for you all season long as well. And I know a lot of folks are coming back, so it may be Dan reading questions, it may be me. Anthony's going to camp on the 27th, 28th. Do you have a plan yet, Dan?
I do not have a plan yet. I'm still waiting to see when the opening is going to be for credentials because they have not done that yet. And I'll be that weekend on Saturday, I'll be doing vacation stuff. So that next week I'll be on vacation, and the week after into August, hopefully I'll be able to get into some training camp. But I have not been able to nail down a time of a frame of reference yet when I'm going to be able to go.
Yeah, me neither. Usually August, the second week is my goal. We'll see if I can pull that off again this year, but we'll find out, folks. We are working on with the team and some of the changes going on over there with credentialing, and we hope we can give you some new style of content with new style of access, and we will bring that to you as best we can whenever we can. Until then, we're going to keep doing what we're doing. And Nighthawk, thank you, buddy. I am almost definitely not going to miss this life today. No. I'm finishing this code and shut it down. Okay, Nighthawk. Well, guess what? You can finish this live while writing code. I know that you can do it. I appreciate you, and it's nice to see you, buddy. Is Pacheco a top 10 running back? Top 15, maybe. Jeremy, great question, and nice to see another one of our members, folks. If you want in the memberships, you want the behind-the-scenes content, the extra content, the content that I don't like to put out for public consumption, you can join the memberships. You get in our Discord that is exclusive to RGR members. You can get that over at the join button underneath Dan, but I think it could push to this level, Dan. Where do you have Pacheco, and can you project him into either of these ranks?
He's probably a top 15 back in the league. I don't think he's a top 10 guy, but if we're looking realistically about the NFL, things are really drastically changing in terms of the top guys. Role-specific players can be top 10 backs in the NFL. You don't have to have the uber talent anymore. Like that's not what this league is about. Obviously, you have the Christian McCaffreys, Saquon Barkley's, even I think Nick Chubb is going to already get back from injury very, very early. Those kind of players are different. Like you separate them from the pack. But roles, like last year, no one expected Kyren Williams to be a top back in the NFL. He was. But based off of what the Rams did with their blocking scheme and their structure and the way that they played physically, he was able to dominate, and we see that change year to year. So Pacheco could be a top 10 running back this year. It wouldn't surprise me. I think talent-wise is where I would say no and lean more towards top 15.
I agree with you in that, in terms of raw talent, the explosiveness, that kind of thing. The top gear isn't comparable to some of the other backs that will be there. But it comes down to this. It's about usage. If Andy Reid's ready to make a dedication to the run because there'll be light boxes, and I am thoroughly convinced there will be light boxes this season because of all the speed and explosiveness, I think they could get it done. I think they could push him to that realm, but it's not a reflection of Pops whether that happens or not. It's situationally whether Patrick and Andy will pull the trigger on him running the ball more volume. Fantasy better than I do. I don't see Pacheco as a particularly quality fantasy back.
Oh, really? I think this year is going to be his best fantasy year.
You think? Okay. So you are convinced he's going to get more of those touches?
I mean, he doesn't even need to get receptions, honestly. He just needs to score touchdowns. And that's what I project him doing, essentially, in this offense, especially right now. There's no one there. There's no one there to challenge him. Like, we know that Clyde's just the backup. He's just the backup. There. So this is all for him to take, realistically.
Okay. All right. I hope that you're right. I have steered clear of him in the past because of the usage rule, but hey, everything's changing. Steve, nice to see you. And Dan, again, let me know when you want to take over because I'm getting dry here.
That's fine. You want to just let me? I'll do it. You just gotta let me know.
Run with it. Go.
All right,
because I'm struggling here.
I appreciate the question, being one of our members as always. Najee Johnson went to DB school last year, and Travis Kelce runs tight end forums in the offseason, which is tight end U, things like that. What can players learn at the schools or forums that they can't learn from their team coaches? This is a great question because I think a lot of people misinterpret what players learn in camp and what players learn in the NFL, what players learn at practice. A lot of times it's for the team. This is your role. Here is what you do in the playbook. You are not learning raw technique. You're not doing any of that stuff. Like tight end reading, reading defenses or finding out how to move a defensive back off or things like that, trying to move play, like the nuances of your position. That's what you're learning at these camps, how to move defenders, how to read spots in zone, and how to maybe do what Travis does. The reason Travis goes and does all this and he speaks is because how he reads the field is basically like a quarterback. A lot of other tight ends don't know how to do that. They are in their scheme. They're doing what they're asked to do, but they can't change their plan. Travis changes his plan on a play-to-play basis because of what the defense is offering, and Patrick sees it too. That's why they work so well, because they see the same things and they operate the same way. So you learn more about the techniques and the nuances of your position at these camps.
And I think you nailed it in the beginning, that I think is the difference, that the perception is from the reality. We talk about it on the other side too. Tackling.
Mm-hmm.
Every year we talk about tackling.
Yeah.
They don't have time to teach tackling technique anymore. You got to come prepared to understand how to tackle. Will they brush up on it? Will they do some warm-ups? They'll do a couple drills, sure. But they don't have the time to dedicate to teaching tackling technique. You got to bring that as part of your everyday job to prepare for being in training camp. And that it all goes for every single position. I'm really interested to see what Najee was able to do, given that he was not physically capable of practicing for, I don't know when he was able to get back on. I think he did before the Super Bowl, but I don't know how much in terms of volume of reps and that kind of thing. So what is the mentality of a guy that's off the field, knowing that that's the only way he can improve? What does that do for him? I'm betting on him. You guys are going to see that in my 53-man projection. We'll see what that comes down to, but I think that that's a positive.
Love that. Love that.
Gary.
Woo. Love it. If I could talk too, that'd be great. It'd be fantastic if we could both talk on the same night. Right?
I can't read. You can't
talk. Gary is one of our fearless moderators in here. Please welcome, as he's always welcoming everybody in here. Appreciate you, Gary. Ryan and Dan, how much do you see backup quarterback Wentz plays this year in the regular season? I think Ryan and I can answer this pretty easily, Gary, for you, because it's always the last game of the season. You got one game. That's all I see him playing.
Yeah. If Carson Wentz gets more than one game of action, something's gone wrong. If
Or
it's more than three, the season's in jeopardy.
I mean, hopefully we get some stress-free fourth quarter football, and he can play. You can play a little bit. That's the only other scenario. But when have we seen that with these Chiefs? When have we seen that? We don't see that. So don't get your hopes up for seeing much Carson Wentz if you guys are like gung-ho of a younger backup quarterback in Kansas City for the foreseeable future, which I'm actually kind of excited about because I still like Carson Wentz.
I was gonna say, not to preview it, but actually about 20 minutes ago, Locked On Chiefs dropped for today, and it was our final position review going into that. And I talked about this in one nugget that I'll expand on here. This is the closest in age any backup has been to Patrick at the time they were on the field. He's less than 3 years different in age than from Patrick. And I feel like his experience with Doug and in a let's be real, it's not the Reed offense, but it is a derivative of it. It is very close. There's probably 90% overlap. To have both those guys understanding the same reads, the same triggers, the same progressions for most of the playbook, I feel like that this might be able to be even more supportive than Henny was first year, certainly than Blaine Gabbert was last year. The fact that they wanted Carson Wentz as the backup last year, and he chose not to try to pursue a starting role. I get that for Carson, but it does feel more like, okay, this is coming to fruition the way the Chiefs meant it to. And I'm really excited to have that kind of thing in the room where Patrick's got somebody a little bit closer to his age, but still has the experience. I think over 90 starts for Carson Wentz. So by no means like a young guy like Chris Ludica, who's never really participated in the regular season. I think it could end up paying off. How much he plays, like Dan said, I hope there's a lot of double-digit leads that he gets to clean up. That would be my preference as well.
It'd be so nice. Like just kind of be excited to watch him in the preseason, right? That's what I'm looking forward to. Because honestly, Carson Wentz at his peak, before whatever happened mentally, because the talent was always there, but something happened in between the ears, and it all went to hell for Carson Wentz. But there was a ton of talent there, and if you can limit how much you have to take out, if he has to go in for whatever reason, it keeps defenses honest. Because let's be real, Chad Henne, God love you, and for everything you did in the postseason, watching him go out there, it's like, okay, we got 5 plays. We're running the football, and you're just ball out quick, ball out quick, ball out quick. There is nothing else he can do. Blaine Gabbert last year, well, this is awful. Like the playbook shrinks so much watching these two quarterbacks that, again, I'll forever love Chad Henne. Honestly, before him, Matt Moore, in the same kind of vein. You finally get a little bit more athleticism, arm talent to be able to run the playbook. You don't lose as much there. So that's at least exciting from that perspective.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. Des, welcome back to the memberships. Nice to see you. Folks, your memberships renew, and we get these cool notifications when you do. So it's nice to see you. And everybody in here, the doctor is in, Gary is in. Nice to see you as well, buddy. This is a community, and I know it's preseason, but if you guys are into it, like, this is a great group of people to have conversations about ball. I know we're not as flashy as some others, but we're going to talk ball for you. If you want to understand the game, you want to talk about the game, you're going to hear it from us, and that's the advantage that we bring. So I hope you guys are enjoying it. Can't wait for training camp, said Anthony. I already covered this one. Sorry. This is what happens when I start reading, Dan. I'll shut up now.
Where did you even get that one? Because you read that one too.
I don't know. I got nothing. I don't know what I'm doing.
All right, Mike, one of our members, another one of our members, thank you for being here. And like Ryan was talking about, we know it's training camp closed. It's still the off season, but we're ramping up here. Like, our members are in here all the time, and we appreciate you guys. Hopefully, as we get going, we get some more from outside so we can all learn more about the game. Because at the end of the day, isn't that what we're all wanting more of? We want to learn more about the game that we love. Like, that's the reason I started doing what I'm doing. So Mike asks, what happened to the Sunday Night Lives? Do you miss them? Well, first off, thank you for missing them, because we love doing them. During the off season, schedules have to change to accommodate things. Off season time, I have a lot more scouting work I have to do. For those that don't know, I am now a scout at TDN. My weeks consist of RGR film right into scout film. And Sundays I'm looking at videos that I do for TDN on that I submit Mondays. So my schedule has gotten far different, but those will be coming back as the season comes along. Like Ryan said, after every game, we will have them every single football game, no matter what. That is a promise to you guys, because I know you guys love doing those. We love doing them, especially because the Chiefs win so much that it's really, really fun to do those.
Yeah. And think about their schedule. We're gonna do some firsts this year, Mike. We're gonna have live streams on a Wednesday. Game. We're gonna have 6 days a week this year. We're going to have live streams, so don't you worry. I too got hit with a lot of travel. My kids are getting to the point where summers are about competition for their sports, and so we just decided to take the Sundays off the plate for a little bit, give you some recorded content. But they will be back starting preseason week 1, and we'll be off and flying. So thanks for being here, Mike. Good to see you.
Appreciate it.
Mr. Christo,
what's up,
I like
man?
the way you think.
Yeah, this is a fun. This is a fun question. This is a different one that I was reading. That did not show up on my screen. That's interesting. Oh, okay, that's why.
See, I think we're in different. I think we're in different orders. I knew exactly where you're going, though.
Yeah. So, Christo, you got 2 here. We're going to go for this one. Then we're going to go right to the next one, because why not? Can Worthy be like Devontae Smith? Ryan, what do you think? Because most of you know how I feel about this. So I want to hear what Ryan's got first, and then I'll take it out from there.
I think, honestly, he can covet himself a bigger share of the offense, to tell you the truth. This is this is going to sound worse than I mean it to. They're going to start him with training wheels. This is going to be his training wheels for the first 6-8 weeks. They're going to take him off, and he's going to be able to ride by himself. Yoo-hoo, I can ride a bike, Dad. Next year, depending on what happens with Hollywood Brown, it's going to be mile a minute, no brakes, downhill mountain biking for Worthy. It is going to be an enormous jump. And at that point, can he? I think that he can. I think he has, honestly, higher upside than I think Smith can attain with his quarterback right now. Because I see eventually Worthy being the one in this offense. I don't know what's going to happen with Rice, and I'm not trying to say that Rice isn't going to be around. I'm saying that at that point, when it's home run, big strike, it's not going to be the same as Tyreek, but it's going to be similar in that he is the big option. He is the big play that everything else is going to revolve off of him. Do you think I'm nuts?
I don't think you're nuts. I don't know if I necessarily think Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith, for everything that he is a he's like an intermediate threat. He can win downfield. It's not his strength. Like, it's just not his game, but he plays bigger than he is. Like, he does. And I've loved Devontae Smith for a very long time, and I will never say anything bad against him. He's a 1B, and it's not his fault. His skill set just falls on 1B. That's why they have AJ Brown. It's why they have that. So when we're looking at Xavier Worthy, the reason that we project him, I project him more like a Deshaun Jackson. That's what I see. That was a bona fide number one receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles during his time. They had the 1B in Jeremy Maclin and things like that. That's how I see the Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy combo doing. Obviously, right now, it looks like you're going to have Rashee Rice. Again, we don't know. We don't have any information. But as of right now, with nothing coming down the pipeline, we can project as of now that Rashee Rice is going to be involved in those guys. So Xavier Worthy for me is Deshaun Jackson at his peak when he can get to that point, right? I actually can also think he can be a way better route runner than Deshaun Jackson was. And maybe that's putting too much on him, but he's a better route runner now than most speed guys coming out were.
I agree with you. And that's kind of, I didn't take the question as like stylistic. I took it as like, impact on the offense.
Sure.
So fair enough. Great perspective on your part. I feel like this. How many yards did Rashee get last year?
Like 950 something.
Yeah, it was just shy of 1,000, right? If you stick with the Philly comparison, AJ Brown is a rookie, just over 1,100 yards, 8 touchdowns. I know Rashee didn't get that much, but I do feel role-wise, Rashee can be the AJ Brown, and I think where they can be Deshaun Jackson, perfect example to his, whereas Devontae is not that kind of over-the-top guy. The question then becomes is for defenses, how do you guard them? And that's why I feel like there is a possibility that Worthy becomes the 1A in that scenario with those two guys playing off stylistically against each other. So it's kind of wide open because there's a number of paths that could take depending on availability and development, but
for sure
it could turn out to be either or. I just don't know. Just on a side note, I don't know if I see Rashee Rice growing into the kind of dominant physical player that AJ Brown is, but I think it could be an AJ Brown light.
The Chiefs have not wanted to use him at his strength, which was predominantly dunking on guys downfield. Like, he was a physical player downfield. They turned him into a physical after the catch guy, maybe because of they needed to. I don't really know, but we don't know the plan for him. Maybe we'll see a little bit more of that in training camp. As of now, we're expecting his role out of the slot to be what it was, but also we've heard that the Chiefs like to use Xavier Worthy out of the slot. Why wouldn't you want to give the fastest guy in combine history a 5-yard cushion? Why not? That'd be a lot of fun. It sounds pretty good. Yeah. So we're gonna kind of see how this evolves. We know everyone moves around a lot, but I would project you're going to see a lot of Rashee Rice at the Z this year, Hollywood Brown at the X, and you get slot role for Xavier Worthy. That's how I feel about this majority place time is going to happen this year. So we'll kind of see what happens there. But good question, Crystal. You put us down a little rabbit hole there with some ideas. But we'll go ahead and answer the second one here. Is left tackle, backup running back, and corner the biggest worry? So personally, I'm not that worried about corner. I think that what they do with their safeties and putting guys in the positions to succeed is enough. And also, I'd be far more worried if the expectation was one guy, Trent McDuffie in the slot in nickel, and then you got Justin Watson and Joshua Williams on the outside. But that doesn't seem like that's going to be the plan for the Chiefs. It's going to be Trent McDuffie sold on the outside, period. You get a combination of maybe younger players, and for the most part, we're probably going to see Chamari Connor at nickel, and then you have whoever wins that battle to be in the outside with Joshua Williams, Justin Watson, Najee Johnson, possibly any number of players, really, to be honest with you. It could be any one of those guys. So you have all of those happening. I'm still worried about defensive tackles not named Chris Jones. I would put that in there myself. What about you?
Yeah, I do not disagree with you at all. So much so that I have a rookie making this roster at that position. Yes, I like him, and yes, I think he's deserving anyway. But that does tell you something about the depth of the position coming off of a Super Bowl. And yes, that is discounting that Charles Omenihu is not going to start the season. I know he's rushing back, and I know he says he's ready to go, and we're going to see when the team says he's ready to go, but that's a different story. And I agree with you on corner as well. In fact, I will put it this way. I'm more concerned about what we haven't seen from Brett Veach enough of that I think should happen this year, and that is a preseason trade. Because if not, this team is going to cut somebody that starts for another team at cornerback this year, and I don't like to see that.
I don't disagree with that.
Maintain your talent, get value.
Have no qualms about that. That's what happens when you draft well, honestly, and also when you throw a bunch of bodies at corner and you play all of them a lot, and then you get a surprise last year, Najee Johnson, who looks like he might be starting for you, and then he gets hurt. So you have a lot of talent, you developed a lot of guys, and you get experience, and that's kind of what happens. So hopefully you're right, and they do get a trade, because I'm starting to lean towards Joshua Williams or Jalen Watson getting traded this season, and I wouldn't be shocked if it happened in the preseason, guys. Just be warned.
It's funny that you say that, and I know some people are going to see this as a clip. I'm pausing now so that the algorithm picks that up. Those two guys in particular, I think there's so much similarity, and they've traded off so much. I agree with you, and that's not a dig on either Joshua Williams or Jalen Watson. But I do think they have value because they've both performed well at times in limited snaps where they share half of a role, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's one of them that could get traded and could bring value, okay, I won't be super happy about it. I want to keep all the talent they draft. That's just me. They can live with it. They have had behind them that they just drafted. I'm going to tell you guys now, the dark horse for me to make this roster and kick somebody good, either to the practice squad or to a trade or off the roster completely, is Kelvin Joseph. I know he hasn't panned out to this point, but I heard from multiple people in OTAs that this style, Spags and Merritt, are clicking for him in particular. And sometimes I feel that that's all it takes. I think sometimes we rail guys out of the league because they got put in a coaching situation that just didn't work for them. And maybe they never got a second chance to show what they can do. I think he might be redeemable here.
All right. Well, that's someone to look out for in training camp, because he was not on my radar to make the roster. So that's, again, we're gonna be talking about this next week. Next Monday, we're actually going to be doing a little bit of a reveal, I think, right? Is that what the plan was, to do a 53-man roster?
I think that's great. Yeah.
All right.
I think that's great.
We'll do that
before
I go on.
Whether it'll be on Tuesday or not, we'll figure that out.
Yeah, we'll find
and just
out.
1 second for the record. I do think whoever wins left tackle, there's going to be some bumps on the road, but I wouldn't call that the biggest worry. My biggest worry is if Pacheco gets hurt.
Okay. Yeah, that's a fair point, which is right there with running backup. So that's, again, another reason why we think that there should be Jerick McKinnon and Koff back on this roster. But appreciate that, Christo. And you guys just read what the doctor's saying right now. The doctor's in the house, and he's saying let's not forget the like button. So take a second real quick for all of you in here just to show some love. We appreciate it. Helps the algorithm out. We all want to get out there and become more one with Chiefs fans. We know there's a lot of them out there, considering some of these channels around here have, quite a lot of fans. So we would like to get some of those as well. It's never a bad thing.
You're very zen
James
about
Duncan.
that.
You know, it is what it is. We can't control it, so we just got to try and bring him over here, teach him more about football.
Come on over.
Is there a free agent y'all could see the Chiefs sign before the first preseason game? Okay, there's two. I would not be opposed. I know it's a very crowded room right now. Don't get me wrong. Justin Simmons at safety would just be perfect. It'd be perfect.
Oof.
It would be amazing. I would love to see him signed.
If Jamari Connor's a nickel, there's only 3 safeties worth signing to this roster. I'm
There's
100% with you.
Jaden Hicks is doing it, but he's probably Jaden Hicks is probably a linebacker.
$5, Justin. Yeah, I mean, they'll list him as safety, but he read and cook. I mean, that's it. Nothing against Trey Dean, but I don't see Trey being an impact player. If you can sign Justin Simmons for anything close to a reasonable number, good Lord, bring it.
And then Jerick McKinnon, like I just mentioned, those two guys. If the Chiefs bring those 2 free agents in, watch out. Like that's not saying Jerick McKinnon is going to be a world beater, but we know what he is, and he's a perfect fit for this offense, and he solves the problem. If like Ryan says, if Pacheco gets another injury, which not against his track record, Clyde and Jerick work. They work. We've seen it. It's fine. So just do that. Just bring him back.
Yeah, it's going to be okay.
Whoops, we're pressing buttons.
Let's take a quick spin. Yeah, let's take a quick spin just to look. Oh, no, you're doing fine. I just am not zoomed in enough. But let's take a quick look because I just haven't looked at this in a while. And what is the free agent list here? So you see most of the guys are, signed here. There's some quarterbacks. Bakhtiari is the big name that's out there. I don't see a reason for the Chiefs to sign David Bakhtiari. I think it makes sense that he becomes a Jet, just like Devontae Adams. Nice to see you leave the AFC West. See you, buddy. Hope that rumor's true. There's just not a lot out here. Justin Simmons, we've already mentioned. Would you want to add another receiver? I don't think so. Do you think that they could put up with J.C. Jackson? Maybe. Could Emmanuel Ogbah do anything? Because I will say this. I know he's older. He's played in the system, and I think he can play inside still, too. So there could be some extra value there. Dory Jackson doesn't have anything for me. Charles Leno doesn't have anything for me. They don't need Corey Linsley. I thought Yannick Ngakoue signed somewhere, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, he's still out there.
Okay. Gilmore, Micah Hyde. I mean, the obvious answer is the one that you put out there. And the thing that's not obvious to me is why he's still out there. That's what I don't get.
I think he's just waiting. Personally, if he hasn't been signed, to me, he's waiting, So
that's fair.
That's all I can put. It doesn't make much sense, to be honest with you.
So, folks, I just wanted to give you the visual. The pickets are slim out there in terms of the free agency, James. That is all.
Appreciate it, James.
Okay.
TGIL. Thank you for being here. And thank you for the question. Why are we not talking about the plan at inside linebacker with the departure of Willie Gay? He was huge the last 2 years. You're not wrong. And well, first, this might be the first time I'm seeing the name, so welcome in. Appreciate you being here with us today. We have kind of talked about this quite a bit. The plan is Drew Tranquil, Nick Bolton, and your do-it-all Leo Chenal with a little bit of a dash of maybe rookie Jordan Hicks, but predominantly the name is now currently escaping me because this is happening with draft prospect overload. Names fall out of my head.
You got a lot out there, bro. Is it Cam Jones you're thinking about?
It is Cam Jones.
I have him as
very much.
Okay.
Yeah, that's who we expect to be that Willie Gay role. He kind of showed that he could do that last year in the limited time before he got hurt. So it's a projection. Of course, you can never really know what he's going to end up being, but with his football IQ, I think that's the big difference between him and Willie Gay, is that Willie was still struggling with the playbook and the football IQ side of it, because ton of athletic upside, a ton of athletic ability. And when he saw it, he got down so quick. Sometimes he didn't. And that was probably where the Chiefs were like, you're not going to get paid a huge amount. but we think we can fill in what you did with a guy who has maybe more total upside with the football IQ. I don't know if you see it the same way.
I don't think Cam is the athlete that Willie is. I completely agree with you there. But I do agree. The combination of the read and react and the ability to process and get downhill and get to your assignment, I think the overall rivals Willie's speed, even though Willie might be a half beat late and have to rely on his athleticism. And as you said, once he's able to tear it away, Willie Gay can make some plays.
Oh, yeah.
I think Cam Jones has that in him. But the reason that we're not talking about it as much, and we actually have through the summer, T. Gill, but the reason most people, most talking heads, and most even people who cover the team aren't talking about it is because the plan's been in place for quite a while with the arrival of Drew Tranquil, and knowing that that's what Leo was there for, was to give them a robust outside linebacker on the other side so they could let Nick and Trank run. That's why this has been part of the plan for a bit. I will say this too. Jack Cochran plays a lot of special team snap, and I feel personally that because of some of the kickoff rules and the special teams changes, linebackers might be more important this year than we've seen in the past. I don't think it's outside the possibility that they keep 6. And I do think that after Cam Jones, it would probably be Jack Cochran and the rookie Curtis Jacobs. So just keep an eye out for those. Both good athletes as well.
I like it. Thank you for the question. Scott, we got another one here about the cap and bringing someone in to reinforce the roster. One realistic cap, space move the Chiefs might be able to do to help reinforce this roster before week 1. I think that the biggest thing you talked about, David Bakhtiari, for me, I still think that there needs to be Donovan Smith brought in. Somebody that can come in and be a backup that knows they're being a backup, because that's the only reason that I would be bringing in David Bakhtiari. Understand, you are not starting at left tackle. You're not. You are here to help develop these young guys, and just in case. Because if we look at the tackles, you got Juwan Taylor, Wanya Morris, and Kingsley Suamataia. Those are 3 guys. And if you have one of them go down, you have no other backups. It's slim pickings back there. So I think they need to bring in a Donovan Smith, someone that knows they're going to be a backup, and to help these guys with the experience side. Because even Juwan Taylor, who's 27 now, still learning. Maybe he's 26, whatever he is. They're still young. This is a young tackle group. So there needs to be some of that veteran experience. Even though Juwan Taylor is there, I still think you need to bring one of those guys in. That's a cap realistic move that you can make to help solidify the depth on your offensive line.
I can't argue, and I'll go a step further. What Juwan Taylor gets hurt, and all your experience in the room has gone out of the room at tackle. So
thanks for that.
If we're gonna talk doomsday, I might as well, right? But no, you have a significant point there, especially knowing what his role is, knowing that we're not asking to come in and start. One of the young guys has to start.
Yeah.
I think that makes a lot of sense, and I don't know if he's against that or whatever. He certainly isn't in a rush to sign, or else he'd be somewhere right now. So I do think it is still a distinct possibility. In fact, when you look around at what might have to happen, probably the most eagerly anticipated arrival at camp for me next week is going to be Joe Thuney, because that's going to determine what happens with Morris, in my opinion. And God forbid he has to play. That leaves Lucas Niang or Godric as your backup tackle, and I'm not happy with either of those situations.
No, thanks, Scott. Thank you for that. Because now you put all these bad things into Ryan's mind so he can say them, and now we're all worrying about that. But appreciate you, Scott, for being here as always.
We're all
Jason, how do the Chiefs recover so well since they have played more games than any other team in the league for the last 6 years? That is a question that I'm going to leave to the expert, because Ryan knows a lot more about that stuff than I do.
I will tell you this. One is number of snaps played, and the defense finally got right last year where they didn't have to play as many snaps, and that's a big thing. There's a lot of talk about the Chiefs and the organization and the training facilities and that kind of thing. And I do agree that I think there should be more trainers on that staff. I think there should be a better trainer to athlete ratio, right? But what they do is they use modalities pretty well. Everyone that I've ever spoken to inside knows that they know how to recover. They know how to at least teach nutrition, if not provide it for them. So if you're going to use the cold tub effectively, if you're going to make sure that you get your rest, your sleep, and your nutrition, then you're going to help yourself out. And I think whether you think that that's properly manned or not from the NFLPA report, the fact that everybody pulls their oar in the same direction because they know that this is part of the process, I think that's what really helps. Would I like to see some hyperbaric chamber stuff? I'm sure some of the stars use it. My guess is Mahomes and Travis Kelce have pressure chambers at home. They're zip up basically like the heavy duty like paddleboard stuff, right? Like you can zip yourself in there, up the oxygen level, up the pressure level, and that does help with some of your recovery. There's a lot of modalities that I think some of the big guys use. It's just getting it down to the lower levels of the younger. And I think that will continue to happen as knowledge is passed on.
Love it. Hope so. And it's going to be important this year for Snap, I guess, giving guys rest during the season because they have that stretch of 3 games in 10 days. Travis is probably not going to play as much even as he did last year. Okay? Try to remember that they need to save themselves for that stretch first and then the postseason because those are near the end of the season. Those are going to be important games for seeding purposes, hopefully. And you want to have that managed properly. So the only guy I think is the offensive line and Patrick Mahomes. Everybody else, you're going to see probably a large amount of shared snaps. So just try to keep that in mind as well. Another one from one of our moderators, Gary. Ryan and Dan, do you see the Chiefs secondary as a top 5 secondary this year? So I think that any secondary manned by Dave Mara and Steve Spagnuolo was going to be a top unit. Specifically now, you've got Trent McDuffie. Obviously, you lose L'Jarius Sneed, which is never a good thing. But we talked about how they put them in the best positions to succeed. They funnel everything, and they love to play a lot of dime as well. So you have a defense that naturally funnels wide receivers to the safeties into the middle of the field. That's what they prefer to do. They don't leave their guys on islands on the outside a ton. They play a lot of too high. They shift a lot of things around. They get pressure. The number one thing here is they get pressure. Look 2 years ago when the Eagles set the record for pressures and the Chiefs were second, right? And sacks, excuse me, not just pressures, but sacks. Look at this past year. Where did those sacks go for the Eagles? They disappeared because that was a one-off. We saw the Chiefs continue to create pressure, get sacks, and make it count. That hugely helps your secondary. And the Chiefs just re-signed Chris Jones. You get another year of George Karlaftis getting better. Hopefully you get some improvement here from FAU to help that pass rush as well. But you've got blitzers. You got Nick Bolton. You've got Drew Tranquil, who's a fantastic blitzer. You have all these different ways you can attack the quarterback and help out your secondary. So, yes, I believe so.
I'm with you. It's also, I will say this, it's going to depend on how you're measuring that as well.
That's true.
I do think there's more propensity without L'Jarius Sneed there to give up more big plays, maybe some longer touchdowns, while still reducing your completion percentage, that kind of thing.
That's fair. I think we're going to see guys put to be physical. Maybe you see them miss a bit more than L'Jarius did. And that, like you said, may lean more towards some big plays every now and then, which I'm personally willing to live with. Got to see how that plays out. Going from Gary here to John. Appreciate your question. When the Chiefs seem to have cap room to extend a player, what do you believe is happening when it doesn't happen? We have some players at the end of the contract after this year. Any number of things. Honestly, it could be on, and we have things. Something I'm going to go over on Wednesday. Nick Bolton is up for an extension. He is willing to put that aside. He has already stated he's not thinking about the contract. He wants to play this year out. So you have some elective process to not think about it. You have some friction with players, teams. Well, I want this number. But I think the Chiefs and players themselves have done a good job of maybe attacking that number first. And if they're not close, they say, we'll put it aside for the next offseason. And we don't see a lot of friction with going out and saying, I'm not happy with this situation, because they also know what this is about. At the end of the day, this team is focused on the whole holistic idea of this team. They can be one of the greatest teams to ever live. And that's the idea right now, that we're not seeing a ton of outspokenness from the players because they have something else more important in mind, and that's legacy. I don't know about if you think about anything else, or you think that's Good
I'm
idea.
100% with you. And look at the character of the guys that they drafted that we're talking about. Nick Bolton, consummate team leader,
Yep.
all the way back to Mizzou, right? Understands the concept and the part that he plays and understands that his position is not the flashiest and probably not the priority to resign. So understands if he wants to be part of that legacy, where he has to go. I think Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith are in the same boat. I know we lump them together a lot, but I do think they're both intelligent guys that understand what their role is, and the fact that they're both up at the same time. They know they got to come back if the Chiefs want to continue this role in some form or fashion. Can they both come back? Only if they both help each other, basically. But I do think it's a distinct possibility. And I do think that there could be enough of a jump in the cap that we could see it happen. I'm hopeful.
I'm hopeful too. So hopefully that answers your question, John. We're going to speed up here with the last 10 minutes, and we got about 10 more questions. We're going to speed through these. So Justin, I saw you in there. Yes, we will get to your questions while you're here. I promise. Daniel, Hey, Ryan, should the Chiefs try to land T. Higgins? I've heard a lot about the Chiefs being a landing spot for him.
I do like the fit. Especially if we don't know if Rashee Rice gets nothing this year and they're like, oh, we're going to put it off till the next season and court appearances, whatever, and they're without him next year. I mean, that could be a good fit, in my opinion. I'm very happy that he didn't sign a contract. I thought they were working towards one.
Yeah.
But part of that is, much to the other question, the biggest misconception or misconnection between a team and the player is the valuation of what they feel that player is worth. T. Higgins certainly feels he's worth more than the Bengals will spend. My guess is it's probably more than the Chiefs will spend as well.
Considering the wide receiver market over the past offseason, yeah, Chiefs won't be signing him most likely because it's going to be a lot of money. I appreciate that, Daniel. Justin, do you think? Oh, wait, I want to do this one first. Started 15 minutes ago. Damn, YouTube notifications fail. You know, that happens. It happens, but all that matters, Justin, is that you're here now, right? You're now watching. I see you commenting, and we're going to get to your question as of now. Do you think a 4-Pete would be looking too far ahead? My estimation of this is absolutely. We know the Chiefs flipped the script to the 3-Pete quickly, and if by some happenstance they do that again, it will be flipped to that. Yeah, exactly. Everyone that's watching, knock on some wood if you got it. But that would be what they do. This is they're so experienced, they're understanding. This is a training camp first, week 1 first. All of these steps have to come out first. If you don't do that, they don't win the Super Bowl last year. It was about addressing the situation. It was about getting better, going back to the basics in week 17. If you can't be in the moment, you can't fix those things, and you can't actually win the Super Bowl that year. So this team is very much, we're doing this now, we're going to do this later. When it gets to this point, sure, we'll flip it.
This is going to feed into my piece that you guys will likely see tomorrow. It's historic what they're trying to do right now. And I've mentioned it probably more than most people, but I am still laser beam focused on this. To win 3 will be one in a lifetime. If you can get that done, you can start looking at that, Justin. And I think if they were to make history, again, knock on wood, that it would be logical to then look at it. But if you hear that word, that 4-Pete come out of anyone's mouth before this next Super Bowl is complete and in the bag, something's gone terribly wrong. Because that means they are not locked in where they need to be.
Yeah, I would hope that person either gets benched or is off the team, depending on their position and where they are, because that's not needed around this team right now, Justin. I hope that defines your question for you, and I hope you're not thinking about it. I'm just kidding. Fans can think about whatever they want to.
I mean, the fans can think about it, sure.
Unless you have an ear of one of these players, Justin.
Okay.
Eric, thank you for being here. Thank you for your question. Do you think Wiley will have a bigger role than Gray, given the Chiefs don't play Kelsey as much in the regular season to save him for the postseason? No, I don't believe so. You got to earn that. Gray has earned his role. He is the tight end too, and he is really good at it. Very good blocker now, always in the right spot. Patrick trusts him. I think we've seen that on some downfield routes. Specifically, I'm thinking the one against the Jets. Go back to the postseason against the Dolphins. He has a really nice catch early in that football game. He has earned his role, and Wiley needs to learn the playbook, be able to be in the right spots and earn that role, because I think he'll be the 3, but Gray is a very good 2.
Yeah. And I think when they push to that point, he'll be able to make that. We're going to jump out of order for 1 minute because it is now, folks, last call for Super Chats. If you are on the show tonight, please do it. Callie, thanks. We always appreciate your contribution. It's good to see you, buddy. Any surprise roster cut or make that you have on the radar? Anybody that you're on watch for right now?
I mean, we both talked about Fabian Lovett making this roster. I have a film room up on him last week. I don't know if I have like surprise cuts, but there's not really somebody that I'm looking at this roster and saying like they'd be a surprise. And think we can only really go to trade. And we talked about Joshua Williams or Jalen Watson being a surprise trade for somebody, considering the talent they have at cornerback. Possibly at safety, if you bring in a Justin Simmons, you might be able to trade one of the guys you have, but they're all relatively young and getting better. So I don't know if you can do something like that. What about you?
I've been thinking about this over the weekend, and one thing just stands out to me more and more and more. He hasn't been able to contribute, had a terrible year last year, hasn't been on the practice field. You don't gain anything by making this cut, but I think we should be to the point, and I think the coaching staff is probably to the point, that if you don't put out Kadarius Toney, it's time.
Yeah.
It's time. There's no reason anymore. And I know you've been on this for a while, Dan. I think it's finally time for both the fan base and the staff to get to that point as well. And would it be a surprise? I think it probably would, because they continue to flout him still as the most talented receiver on the team. But if you can't do it or you're physically unable to practice, it just doesn't do any good. So cut it
You're
loose.
absolutely right. Absolutely right. I'm with you there. You guys know that I've been on that train for a long time. So thank you for the super chat, Callie. We will finish up here with the last few. Actually, we'll go right to, again, and the last one here. King Jamie, thank you for your super chat. Cheers, boys. Thanks for the great show I'm going to be up here. Thanks for the great show every show. Thank you for being here. As always, you guys, even if it's just water, like you guys being here with us every single Monday night, never fail, is awesome.
Salute.
Oh, yeah.
King Jamie the man.
All right. KC Chandaman, do you think we should fare well against the Bengals defense in week 2? I know it got pretty bad last year. By the way, remind me to Venmo the refs before the game. Wait, did I say that out loud? I think you may have. If you didn't say it out loud, you definitely wrote it. So I read it. So now it's out there to the entire YouTube. So you might want to, I don't know, recant that. But I think that the Bengals defense in week 2 is going to be maybe a bit more formidable than it will be later in the year. You might have some things you haven't seen, and we know that they're going to be holding some stuff back for Patrick in week 2. They're not going to see in week 1. So that's going to be a time to really experiment and get some things thrown out there. I think that they should still be fine, though.
Yeah, defense, I agree with you. I actually question. Joe Burrow's coming off of a significant injury. Zach Moss is their tailback at this point. His old reliable Mixon is not there. I don't see that as a terrible downgrade myself, but there's a lot of change right there. Higgins is pissed off and not happy, right? Like there's enough discontent. I don't even know who the heck. Hopefully Kwame Lassiter actually makes some ground and gets in the slack, because I don't know Trent Irwin. I don't know if Charlie Jones gets it done. So I'm not sure offensively if they're able to continue to keep up with the Chiefs. So I'm going to say that we should fare decently is my guess.
Oh, fair point. Fair point. I think it's going to be Jermaine Burton, by the way. I think it's going to be Jermaine Burton.
Oh, do you? Okay. All right.
It would make more sense to me. Justin, I have seen reports that Kingsley will be starting week 1. Is he that good? Like dark horse? So, I mean, if you're seeing anything right now, it's not a real report because training camp hasn't officially happened yet. You only really get that kind of reporting from training camp preseason. Like Ryan said, it's like it's an opinion at this point. So, but to answer your question, I do think he's good enough to start week 1. I think he absolutely can win that job. And because they took him in the second round, they wanted to trade up to get him. I think that he's the leader in the clubhouse, and one is going to have to do something to take that job. So hopefully this training camp battle gets the best out of the left tackle position, whichever one it is.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And I do think that Kingsley has the lead at this point.
All right. Appreciate you, Justin. Des, appreciate you, one of our members, being here. And thank you for this question. Are you surprised at least Creed hasn't been extended? A little bit surprised. But again, I think we understand that they all know what's in front of them, and outside distractions when you're trying to do what they're trying to accomplish this season don't get it done. So everyone's kind of putting their contracts behind them to accomplish this goal. That's unprecedented, to be honest with you, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I would have thought somebody would have gotten signed. Justin Reed's going to be up for it as well. But
that too.
I wouldn't call it a surprise yet. They can still continue through camp. Honestly, these are all veteran guys that have been around the block, have been on Super Bowl teams. They can probably deal with, hey, my agent's still working on the contract the first 2 weeks of camp. So I won't say that it's over because camp's going to start. So there's still a possibility, Des. It could still happen, I think.
Awesome.
Thanks, buddy.
Jason, which rookie on this team do you think is going to make the biggest impact this season? I mean, come on, you're just giving me a softball here. It's going to be Xavier Worthy by a long shot. Not even just by stats. He's just going to open up the offense. It's just going to open everybody up. So maybe by eyes, you have Kingsley. If he takes that left tackle job and he just kind of runs away with it, that can make one of the biggest impacts, because we've seen pass protection be an issue there at left tackle. But I think holistically, even if your left tackle isn't playing above average, what Xavier Worthy is going to bring to your offense, opening up space, adding that vertical element, and continuing more with the yards after the catch stuff, is going to benefit everybody, including Patrick, being able to get the ball out quicker.
I disagree with nothing
Okay.
you just said.
I was about to say.
I will just say that if I'm talking about the biggest impact, Jaden Hicks is going to hit somebody and knock somebody out. That's the biggest impact. That's what I'm telling you.
There we go.
Okay.
I hope so. That'd be fantastic. I'd love to see that, because y'all know Jaden Hicks is a hammer. He is bringing the hammer. All right. We are going to end tonight with Scuba Steve's question. I feel there's still cornerback the Chiefs could sign, like Xavier Howard, or Stephon Gilmore. Why don't they get that cornerback 2 spot solidified? Good question. Large part because they don't feel like they have to. If they felt like they had to, they would have just paid L'Jarius Sneed. That would have been done. So been over. But they feel like they've got a lot of really young, talented cornerbacks in their room that they can coach up and put in the right spot to succeed. Simple answer, but I think the right one.
I do think there's also a question of fit. I think Stephon is probably not the physical guy that they want right now. Could he play off? Sure. I don't think Spags wants to. Can Xavier Howard still turn and run? I don't think the Dolphins would tell you that. So I don't know that they're full fits any longer. So I would just put it that way. But great question, Steve, and thank you again. Thank you all for being here. And Sean, thank you. I'm glad that you enjoy the Mondays. We always
appreciate
do
it, Sean.
as well. Keeps us going all off season. So you guys make sure, spread the word. I'm sure people will see it tomorrow when Patrick shows up. But hey, training camp's about to start. You might as well tell everybody. So I know it's fatigue for the fans too. We've had long seasons, and so if you're kind of like, oh, it's football season again, well, it is. And enjoy that fact. So
yeah,
we'll be up and rolling as we always are. More from me tomorrow, more from Dan on Wednesday, Gary on Thursday, and we're going to get going. We should have some news. I'm guessing after Patrick makes some comments and some guys start coming in on the 20th, we're just about here, folks. Enjoy your last moments in the sun without hats on so that you don't pass out at camp, because that's what I'm going to be doing. John Smith, thank you. Tracy, nice to see you. Better late than never. I always say that because I'm always late. So shout out to Caroline as well. And Dan, thank you to you for taking everything to the next level, especially as you take on more responsibility in your career. And with Miss Avery, we know we miss her.
Well, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for the support as always. I mean, it's such a great time to come out here every Monday and just be with you guys and be with the fans and answer your questions, because we all know that you have a lot. Even coming off 2 Super Bowls, this team is something that somewhat of an enigma to everybody. So we do our best to analyze and just teach you guys as much as we know, and you guys help us in that aspect. So thank y'all.
I could not have said it better. Have a great night tonight, folks. We will see you tomorrow. I'm going to talk about some things that I got to get off my chest. It's going to be great. And here we go. Get ready for that three-peat. Appreciate you guys being here. Like, sub, hit the bell, get the gear at the store. You know the drill. If you're here,
You know what?
take care.